Good afternoon, everybody, listeners around the world in the United States, Canada, the UK. I am your host, Chris George Zuger, and you have entered the Den of Lore. We have a special episode today. We're episode 21. And to my right is my co-host, Alex. How are you doing, Alex?
Very good, very good.
We have a wonderful episode with a fantastic, multiple award-winning filmmaker, Tristan Bourlard.
That's right.
I should have stayed in French immersion a lot more than I did. I do apologize. We're going to be discussing his new film, which has the Masonic community worldwide in an absolute tizzy, Terra Masonica. I have to say, when I heard about this movie and I saw the two trailers for it, they absolutely blew my mind. And I said, we have to get Tristan on this program and talk to him because, damn, this looks like a good film. And you know what? It's going to be released worldwide shortly. And the details are still being worked out, and I know that Tristan will be able to share more of that information if he has it available as far as the release dates. But yeah, if you're anywhere in the world, and if you're a Freemason or interested in Freemasonry, this is the film to watch. Absolutely different cinematography. Absolutely
beautiful cinematography.
Beautiful cinematography. Thank you very much, Alex. And I would like to be able to introduce Tristan himself. And how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's very freezing now. I'm in Europe, in Belgium, in Brussels, and it's freezing, but everything's okay. I'm happy to have finished this project, and I'm starting a new one because not working is very difficult for me. So I like challenges and a new project all the time. That's it.
You've certainly had quite the challenge with doing all this amazing footage for the film recently.
Sorry?
I said you've had quite the challenge with doing some of the amazing footage for the film, the shots for the film.
Yeah, it was very difficult. It's an incredible project, and I was thinking about that yesterday. And making in the 21st century, be able to have the privilege to make a trip around the world and the fantastic journey during 1 year. It's just incredible to be able to live that today. We are living in a society, and we think that everything is discovered, and it's not the case. So traveling like this and discovering so many incredible architectural heritage, so many incredible brethren around the world was really an incredible experience. And still now, when I'm looking the movie, I said to myself, it's not me. I didn't make this movie myself, I'm discovering the movie like everybody because it was just incredible. But it's just the top of the iceberg, because there is 10,000 shots made during the 1 year. So it was a very difficult editing. And finally, I decided to make 2 movies of 1 hour because it was impossible to do that with less time. But I hope that I will make a third movie with Terra Masonica. It will not be a trip around the world in 80 lodges. It will be a trip around the lodge in 80 minutes. It will be a different approach, more philosophical, because I have hundreds of incredible interviews with brothers around the world, and there's a lot of aspects of Freemasonry that we will discuss, more philosophical, and all these aspects are in the computer now. And I would like to use it in the future. So I think there will be a third episode, yes.
Now, for somebody who's, I've watched a lot of Masonic, Masonic documentaries and content. There are certain ones that have gone into the history, certain ones that have gone into the mystery and secrets, and others that have, there are some independent movies that will even try and link Freemasonry to things like the Illuminati or what have you, which, as a Freemason myself, I always laugh at because we can't organize a pancake breakfast without getting into fights. So, so the idea of a movie that contrasts the various types of Freemasonry worldwide, along with the histories of Freemasonry, not only as a craft, as a whole, but also the different countries and that you have that you visited is something that nobody's ever done before. And how did the idea for this particular documentary start?
Well, it was directly after I made in 2008 a very good movie, historical movie. The name was The Scottish Key. And the question was, what was the origin of Freemasonry? Because in Freemasonry, you have two main questions. What is the origin of Freemasonry? And the second question is, what is Freemasonry? It's not the same, but it's linked, because the heritage, the tradition, the history, it's the craft. So, but just after making this movie in 2008, I directly write two scripts. The second script was The Age of Darkness. It was the idea of the confrontation of the Freemasonry and the fascist period of the 20th century, because it's very interesting to face the question and how because Freemasonry can't live, can expand, can be honorable society just in democracy. Everybody knows that. So it was an interesting question, but it was a very difficult project. So I decided to to write a book about that. And the third script was Terra Masonica. So I said to myself directly that to answer the question, what is Freemasonry? It's impossible to answer this question in my personal point of view, because it's a very local view, And if I ask the question to any brother around the world, all the time it's a local view. It depends on the lodge, it depends on the history of the nation, etc. So to have a very, I think, good answer to this question, the only way was to visit maximum of lodge around the world. It was a very simple idea. And because the expansion of Freemasonry started very quickly in 10 years after 1717, so 3 centuries ago, the expansion of Freemasonry, in 10 years, the Freemasonry arrived in all the port in the 5 continents. So this expansion is very incredible. For example, Freemasonry arrived in Calcutta in India in 1727. So very quickly, Freemasonry arrived thanks to the travelers, thanks to the militaries. It was a naval lodge. It was and directly Freemasonry. After this moment of expansion during 3rd century, there is different kind of evolution of this different type of Freemasonry around the world, depending of the culture, depending of the history of these nations, and but in the same way, everywhere is the same. This is the incredible fact when you see the movie, is that you have this incredible feeling that Freemasonry could give so much to the members of the craft, and it's not the way that it's a form of teaching. So I was very surprised that and everybody who is watching the movie Terra Masonica have this feeling that everybody is speaking not in the one voice. Everybody have different point of view, but we have this feeling that everybody is a Mason, and we have this very close relation with everybody. You don't have this feeling that somebody is very a stranger in Freemasonry, So the idea is very simple, but it was very difficult to organize that. It takes months of discussion with the different lodge, and to find the lodge, and to find a good balance between all the continents, all the countries. So it was a long process, and I had to wait 2015 to start this movie, because before that I was not in good health enough to do all this travel. And, after, for example, 3 weeks of filming in USA, of South America, of Africa, and it's a very physical job. So It was a very hard process and very hard editing, but I'm very happy of the result and very happy of all the feedback because there is some screening around the world now, and every time, especially the young generation, especially our families, especially our wives, etc., comes to me and said, okay, this is the first time that I really understand what my husband do, what is Freemasonry. So this suspicion of Freemasonry go down directly after the movie, because we directly see that all these guys around the world are absolutely unable to make a complot. They have no time, and it's not that they have to deal with some very. It's a normal life for all the Masons around the world, and to see that, it's just great. So this is it.
And what was the I'm going to say the main. What would have been the main thing that you wanted people to understand from actually seeing this film? Is it like, is it more of just a, these are regular individuals? What was it, a pushback, or at least a personal wish to push back against individuals who may look at the craft differently or in a negative light? Or is it more just a
general appreciation?
Yeah, general appreciation for the craft.
My goal is to we don't need me to make. I'm not a journalist. I'm a filmmaker, so it's very different. I have a vision. I wanted to make some picture to show a vision of this the subject, the craft, the Freemasonry. Because I'm Freemason also myself, it's more easy. But it's not because I'm Freemason that I could make a good movie about Freemasonry. First of all, I'm a filmmaker. But I had this vision, and I wanted to link the beauty of the lands, of the nation, of the Masonic heritage, to meet very normal brothers, because one of the problems of Freemasonry is that all the people who are speaking about Freemasonry, they are scientific historian, or maybe in 90% it's people who don't have want to write books, about Freemasonry, but they don't have the scientific education. They are not historian, really professional historians. So they are speaking about Freemasonry. But I think there is so many books about Freemasonry who don't give, it's just blah blah. They don't give you nothing about Freemasonry. What is really Freemasonry? Freemasonry is something very simple, in fact. So I wanted to show that, and because when we go on the internet, of course, you see all this anti-Masonic movement, who is very powerful today, and I feel very sad about that. And I know a lot of good guys from the young generation who have suspicion against Freemasonry, and for me, it's very difficult to fight against myself alone, to convince people. I think, for example, I had a young friend, and we had a long discussion about Freemasonry. It was impossible for me to convince him that Freemasonry is not had nothing to do with the complot and Illuminati, etc. But after I invite him to see the movie in a premiere, and everything changed in his mind. It's not a question that after that he want to come in Freemasonry. It's just that he see exactly what is Freemasonry today. So my goal is to show the reality of the Freemasonry around the world. Is very simple, in fact.
That we have, that we're taking up way too much of our time learning lines to be able to do anything nefarious. The learning of ritual has always been something that I could be quite good at or absolutely be horrible at. And, I know some people who will do certain parts of degree work. They can spend hours and hours and hours learning it, and they will still, when they get up to deliver their part, they still can stumble over their lines. It's it goes part and parcel with trying to constantly perfect ourselves as individuals and improve ourselves, whether it's from memory or just public speaking. Is this, is this something that's commonly found throughout Freemasonry worldwide? And is that affected based on language? Have you found that certain individuals or certain brothers who are, let's say, in India and speaking Urdu at their lodge, did you hear that they have an easier time learning their ritual work than, let's say, somebody who's doing it in English?
The question of the rituals, it's a very difficult question for this movie, because this movie will be broadcast worldwide, and everybody knows that it's impossible to film inside the lodge. So I respect that, of course, and it's exactly making a movie about Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart without the music. So the real treasure of Freemasonry is the ritual, and is the only treasure we have. It's a heritage from the past. And there is thousands of different rituals in the world, and everybody's keep this treasure very safely. And there is this idea of transmission, and the ritual is the center of the craft. So, but for me, it was impossible to explain that in this movie, and because it's very complex, and maybe I will do that in another project. But I think it's not the main question in this project. The most important question is what is when you are traveling, you need to have a compass. You need to directly, when you arrive in a country, in a lodge, you need to have to know where you are and what is the DNA of this lodge, what is the spirit of the lodge, what is the spirit of this craft. For example, in Scotland, it's very incredible. In Mother Lodge of Scotland, I love them so much, and it's you have a very incredible spirit there. In India is the same. Everywhere in the world is the same, but it's different. So you have to understand where you are, and you are here just for 1 week, 2 weeks. So after sometimes I understood that the craft is based on 7 main value. You have, of course, faith, hope, charity. You have, of course, liberty, equality, fraternity. But you have also, of course, unity. And the unity is very important. You have the unity of the brethren inside the lodge, but also universality is the same word, but it's more global. So you have 7 main value. And if you have some masonry who are more connected, for example, with charity, but if you do too much charity, you lose the path of the craft. So all the time in masonry is the question of balance. And when you have a decrease of membership, and when you have some problem inside the lodge, it's because you lose one of these 7 value. And it was my way, my compass as a traveler, and a Mason traveler. So this is, for me, the most important thing is go back to the basis. Is not be too intellectual, And of course, it's very interesting to see the problem of translation, the problem of language, which kind of ritual is this ritual is very close to the tradition of not. I know that in USA there is some problem with some rituals who are not connected with the young generation. It's not the case in the continental Europe. So, of course, the ritual had an impact of the quality of the craft, and all the time we are looking for the best rituals. But I think the ritual could be also a problem, and especially for the young generation. And there is a time in our life, in our path, for each age, there is a time for a different evolution. When you are below 25, you have different question when you are 14 or 15 years old. And when you visit the lodge now around the world, you see directly that there is a lot of white hairs in the lodge. The average age is very high. So as a young Mason, it's a problem. Why? We are not connected with the young generation. And the answer is very simple. It's because we don't organize the possibility to have exchange with the young generation. If we are meeting young generation directly, there is a connection. So the main I think we have to focus of organizing moment in a good place to have this possibility to meet the young generation and to have exchange about the craft, because it's very useful for a young mason. What we learn as a young mason is very useful in the life, and I feel very sad when I see that men are waiting when they are finishing their working life, around 60 years old, and they're entering in the craft because they have more free time now. So in the past, in the 18th century, all the great Masons entered in the lodge very young, and they were very active in the world, in every kind of field, artistic, political, economical, any kind of field. And Freemasonry was very attractive. It was the golden age of Freemasonry. And maybe we have the possibility in the 21st century to enter in this new golden age. It's just a question of choice and organized possibility to make the young generation. I think that now the lodge, all the grand lodge of the world have this difficulty to be more simple, to be more accessible, to be more open to the world, and stop saying that we have big secret. It's not the case. The lodge are in the center of the city, open to the community. We are making community service. We are open to the world, and it was what I wanted to show.
And that's very correct, and I agree with that statement. The interesting thing I always used to say to my friends when they said, "Oh, you're joining that secret society," I'm like, well, it's not really a secret society because we have a giant building with a neon sign, on this main road. So the idea of the secrets as part of something that helps to prove that somebody can keep their word and that they're reliable. In addition to being symbolic of somebody having the knowledge to work in certain parts of the world, or I should say, certain parts of work sites. But
the question of the secret, we don't really understand what is the secret, and we have to be very clear about this question. There is two aspects of the secret. One aspect is the privacy. If you have friend in your house and your best friend, and if you organize a meeting, a private meeting in your house, you don't want that everybody will know next week what was the discussion you had with your friend. This is the name of privacy, and this is in our constitution, in our democratic society. The privacy is very important for a democratic country. This is the first aspect. The second aspect is that the secret is coming from the history of Freemasonry, and one on the roof. There is two roofs. There is a lot of explanation, but one very important roof of Freemasonry is the Royal Society, who was created in 1614 in London. It was the first scientific institution of the world, and the Royal Society in London was created by a gentleman mason, because Freemasonry didn't exist at this time, the modern Freemasonry. It was a gentleman mason. Robert Moray is very famous. I love him so much, these guys. And when you know a little bit about how science is working, you understand directly the meaning of the secret. And I give you an explanation. If you are visiting the most important scientific meeting around the world, for example, about the research against cancer, you have each 3 months, 6 months, the best scientific of the world who have a secret meeting. So it's not a secret meeting. Everybody knows that there is a very big meeting for a lot of different important city. But when the meeting start, you have the best scientific, for example, about melanoma of breast cancer, I don't know, and you have 16 persons around the table, and they start the discussion, but they close the door. Why? Because the Nobel Prize is in question, you know. So science, when you exchange information, it's very important to exchange information to be a better scientific, to be sure that your research as a scientific will be the right one. But in the same time, one of these scientific will be will receive the Nobel Prize. So the idea of secret closed door is just to have the best quality of discussion. If you know that the doors are open, you will not have the same quality of discussion. If the doors are closed, you will be very frank, and you will have trust. You could say mistake, for example, and another brother could explain his point of view and change your mind, etc., etc. So this process of evolution by the quality of the discussion and by the simple fact that we close the door and we know that Monday morning it will not be in the newspaper. So this is the only explanation of the secret. And of course, there is another explanation. It was the craft in the Middle Age. It was the only way that the workers, the builders, had to protect the work, you know, protect the simple fact that they have to have a work, so they have secret words to be sure that they were operative mason. But it's not, for me, the secret is more the quality of the relation, and we discovered that when we enter in the lodge that it's directly after 2 minutes when you are traveling, for example, you have directly this quality of relation, sincerity, the brotherhood, and directly you are connected to the mankind, to the human and the feelings, and directly we go very deep in the discussion, and this is something wonderful to live. It's a wonderful experience, and this is the secret. This is one of my explanation.
And with regards to parts of Europe, you being a European native yourself, and in the film, and not to spoil anything for those listening at home, there are certain parts of the Europe that you visit where there has been, throughout recent history in the last 100 years, let's say, for instance, a very strong persecution of Freemasons. And what is your opinion, or what did you take away from seeing that, in places where Freemasonry was very heavily persecuted, that it started to come back?
It's wonderful to live that, because we have to do our best to because we are living in a global world today, and it's very interesting for example, Canadian, US, UK Freemason to know that in Middle Europa there is a reborn of Freemasonry in new democratic country just since 15 years of 20 years, and these young Masons have so much incredible speech about freedom, about liberty. What is to be free, to live liberty? So in our whole democracy, maybe we forget that, and we forget that Freemasonry is also a way to build a free nation without borders, and I think that Freemasonry is more strong, is more powerful, more strong in this new Grand Lodge with just 300 members for one nation, but you feel that you have this strong feeling that they are living something just great. Because it's not easy, because it's a choice, because you need courage to do that. So for me, it was, and especially in Middle Europa, you have so great culture as Ukraine, Poland, and Georgia, and so all these great nation struggling now. There is a war now. Just now we are speaking now, and you have war with not directly Russia, but the whole world is here, is still here, and maybe we will. I hope not, but maybe we will live in the next 10 years or 20 years new wars in this part of the world. So I don't hope that, but the people who are living and the brothers who are living there know that it's a dangerous situation. So have the possibility to meet a brother and maybe trying just not to help them, but they need connection with the world, because they choose to be a part of the free world. And this is very important, because I'm a democratic guys, and I want to live in democratic world. So I'm very connected with them, and very happy to know to have the privilege to be received there, and to share with them the same value. And it's not just this movie. Terra Masonica is a beautiful movie with beautiful picture. But what is beauty? Beauty is not just a question of aesthetic. It's also a political question. The beauty, when you have beautiful painting, beautiful music, is because people are free. And you see that in some dictatorial country, that the beauty don't exist. You have a very bad music and very bad hearts, and etc. So beauty is a part of the free world also. So this is why I make a lot of effort to have beautiful picture and to make the connection with the countries, and trying to show that the beauty, the beautiful landscape, the beautiful picture of the country is very important, and the mother language is also important, and all of that is a part of the beauty of the world, beauty of, and it's very inspiring to have the possibility to just live the present and stop the time, and be able to be in front of the Black Sea in Odessa, to be in Africa, in the desert, in the Sahara, and just say, wow, what a beautiful world. And I think this is the part of the craft, is the ability to see the beauty of the world. Yeah.
I think you did a pretty amazing job with the film, sort of showing just how approachable some of those lodges can be. I would think that the youth today, the hierarchical structure of it was probably what's more intimidating for a lot of the younger people today. But then a lot of the younger people today are less likely to reach out to community to find mentors. They're more likely to try to go to the internet or something like that, where men of old or the older generation, they didn't have that available to them. They're more likely to get out there in their community, and they're more likely to chat and find mentors and be mentors for each other. I think that's part of the cultural shift, and why there's so many gray hairs.
It at least I've also found it's somewhat of a generation gap where people's grandfathers were Freemasons, and it's their grandsons that are now becoming Freemasons. And sometimes people who have lived through different things can see the world differently. So how do you see Freemasonry evolving with the old generation and the new generation combining? And what kind of challenges are you seeing during this evolution?
Yeah, I think that it's very important in a lodge to have a good mix and a good balance between the different generations. So when I was 20 years ago a young Mason, I was very happy to have a old Mason to have to receive a teaching, because when you are young, you just have to open your eyes and listening to what people have to do. So you keep the silence and you are listening. So this is the way to learn, is to listening when you are young. But we are entering in a very new world, and the young generation is very different now. They are connected, they see global, and they want to travel. So what I say to the young generation is, be a Mason is exactly that. You are thinking global, you are connected, and this is the case since 3 centuries, because the beginning of the, today we are living in a very anxious world, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear about the future, and because of this globalization. But the globalization is not a new thing. It's happening since the beginning of the Navy, the discovering, the beginning of the big empires like the Commonwealth. It was a globalized world, and if you know a little bit about history, you know that there were a lot of exchange between all the civilization during Babylon and during the beginning of the humanity. So we are living in a globalized world, but the new generation wanted to be a part of that, and they want to travel, and they want to meet people, and they are very open. And in the same times, they have this feeling that of loneliness, and because of the computers, etc. Everybody is finally people are very separate, and it's very difficult to meet people. So as a social club, Freemasonry is a wonderful opportunity for the young generation, first of all, to have new tools, to be a better man, to separate the truth from the fake, to try to think a little bit about to go directly to the basic value, the most important value, to be a good man. This is the first part, and at the same time to travel, to be connected, and to know that if you have to go to work, and this is why in India there is a very big increase of membership, because the young generation is educated and they want to travel and they want to learn. So Freemasonry is absolutely perfect for them, and they understand that it's an opportunity. So maybe we have to speak a little bit about brotherhood. What is brotherhood? Brotherhood is open the door of a brother who is a traveler. And if a brother of your lodge have a problem, you will be there maybe at 3 a.m. in the morning. If he had a crash with his car, I don't know, you will be here to help him. So this is the definition of brotherhood, is just help your brother. So I think we have to be very proud of that, and don't say that because the non-Masons think that brotherhood is to have privilege. It's not the case. It's just a very basic value of humanity. Help the others is very important. As a Mason, I help Mason, of course, but I help non-Mason in the same times. I'm not focused about just the Mason, but if a Mason needs something, I will be here. So brotherhood is a basic value, very important value in life, and in our very selfish society, especially in the US, focus about material world and about money. These values are very important. So this young generation, we need to make a contact and to build a trust, and to explain that. It's very simple, but it's very useful. And for a very intelligent young guys who finish his high degree in university, they understand very quickly that it's an opportunity. So I know that there is a big problem in the Western world with a decrease of membership, and but it's also a problem of culture, because to be a Mason, you have to be very curious about different culture, about the heritage, about the history, about some different knowledge. So if you have at one moment a big nation who facing the problem of culture and problem of education, it's normal that after 2-3 generations, you have guys who are a little bit idiots. So education, democracy and education, it's the good ground for to have expansion of Freemasonry. So it's a more large-scale problem of society. And Freemasonry, I'm living in Belgium, and we have an industrial tradition, and We had here in Belgium, also like in Scotland and in England, we had the mines, with the coke, and when the guys go down in the ground in the mines to extract the coke, they bring with them little birds, yellow birds, and the name in French it's canary, and they bring these little birds to detect the gas, and because they have to it was very dangerous of the explosion of the gas in the mines, and when the little birds was dying because of the gas, they have to get out of the mines to be safe. Freemasonry is the little canaries, the little yellow birds of the society. If Freemasonry is in expansion, so the society is in good health, and so maybe I'm very positive, guys. I'm very optimistic about the future. Not in all the part of the world, of course. In some part of the world, societies are facing difficulties in very large scale, and they are losing all these basic value I explained before. And in other part of the world, things are going better. So. But we don't have a very simple solution to this problem, and it's not in 5 minutes that we will find the solution. Everybody is thinking about how it's possible for the Freemasonry to don't disappear, because this is the question. You have a lot of lodges who are disappearing in USA, in different parts of the world, because you don't have enough young members. And but in the same times, it's a question of time, and it's a cycle. And everybody knows that. During 3 centuries, there is so much in the history of Masonry, a lot of lodges disappear, reappear. There is a lot of creation of new lodge. So it's a part of the life, And if a lodge disappears like this, and we have to build a new lodge, and to try to so it's a part of life, I think, but the speech about Freemasonry had to be more simple and say to the young generation just to explain to the young generation what Freemasonry is useful for a young guy today. And after that, he will have time to discover different aspects of Freemasonry, maybe more esoterical, maybe more mystical, maybe more spiritual. Okay, but in the Judaism, for example, when you want to study the Kabbalah, you have to wait 40 years, and you have children, and you have to wait to have a job. So this is the rules to study Kabbalah. So in the life of a man, you have a good time for different part, and all the aspects of Freemasonry are so rich, so different. So it's like a diamond, and you could spend your life in Freemasonry and all the time discovering new aspects. And because you are you begin to be older, more experienced, so you rediscover all the time Freemasonry. But it's a very, very long process. And we have to listen of the young generation. For example, one of the basic aspects of Freemasonry is hope. Hope is very important, and it's hope. It's, for me, in my mind, it's exactly what is the feeling of a young generation, man and woman. When you are speaking with somebody who is 25, 27 years old, hope is very important part of their wishes. They have hope so hope is very important. So we have to listening to the hope of the young generation, what they want for the future, and try to be more at the same level than them. Sometimes Freemasons are in the you have the feeling when you are young, and I know that Freemason is a little bit they have maybe this feeling that there is too much knowledge. They will not have time to spend to read all these books, etc., etc. But Freemasonry is not a university. It's not a question of to have more knowledge than the other brothers. It's more the human relation. So all this aspect of esotericism and knowledge and etc. and studying it's just one aspect of Freemasonry, and for the young generation the quality of the relation is more important, and to be there to help them is what we have to do. And after that, if changing a country for work, and maybe there will be great doctors and that had a very professional life without free time to come in the lodge. It's not a problem. Initiation is different than the Masonic path. You have initiation, after that you have Masonic path. So in his, they are more open for this idea of lifetime, and you could come in the lodge as a levis, and after that you could spend 10 years or 20 years because you are very busy in your work, and come back, you will still a part of the lodge. So I think we have to be more cool, in fact, more cool with the young generation, and not be too stressful, about the challenge of be a good man. We have one life to be a good man. And we are the only judge at the end of our life to judge ourselves and said, okay, I try to do my best. I'm not a god, but I try to do my best for the society, and maybe I was a good man. That's all.
Now, just as we're starting to wrap up here, because I know that you're a very busy man with the impending release of this film, how did you become a Freemason yourself?
Oh, it's a long story. I'm living in Europe, but I was not born in Europe, and I discovered Europe when I was teenager. Before that, I was born in Africa, and I spent my life, my childhood, and I was teenager in Africa. And when I arrived in Europe, I was very surprised by the very low level of quality of relation between neighbors and different religion, etc. In Africa is very different. Everybody respect everybody, and all the religion are respected between Christian, Jewish, Muslim, animist, etc. There is no problem of relation. In my childhood, it was what I had experiences. So when I discovered Europe, I had this feeling that I was losing something from my childhood, this quality of relation with different people. And thanks to a uncle, who explained to me that he was a Mason, and he was speaking to me. I was 14 years old, and I directly asked him, I want to be a part of that, because you say that it's great, I want to be a part. He said, you are too young. I said, no. So I had to wait a little bit, 10 years to be a Mason. But I didn't read nothing about Masonry, I was very patient, and I was waiting to be a Mason, and I didn't regret that. And I spent 20 years in my mother lodge, and I was very happy Mason. Masonic life is not an easy life. It's not perfect. We have to struggling to really build a brotherhood, really practice what we are preaching. It's not easy. It's a long path, but at the same time, it's just a great thing. So I was looking for this universality finally. The universality in Terra Masonica, it was exactly what I was looking when I was 14 years old. Just the respect of everybody, and because you have knowledge, you have wisdom in all the culture, and we have a lot of things to learn with the good man from the other cultures. So finally, I finished a cycle with this movie, and if I came back in my mind, in my past, and I said to myself when I was 14, and if I saw Terra Masonica when I was 14, what will be the impact on me? I think it will have a huge impact, because seeing Terra Masonica is exactly a dream, it's a utopia. And to see all this universal brotherhood is it's just something wonderful. And knowing that it exists really, and knowing that you could traveling everywhere and find a lodge and find brother and spend time with them is just something great. So despite our difference, but we have respect, and we don't speak about politics, and we don't speak about religion. So I was looking for something when I was young, and a better relation, because life today is not easy. And especially now with all this problem we are facing now, and knowing that we have light in our lodge, and we have this tradition, and when we are opening the meeting, we are closing the meeting, there is something between the opening and the closing who are just great. And to have the opportunity to live that in our lodge is like a young Mason said in that movie, is going to have vitamin, in French we said, to have energy, to find a new energy, to after that get out of the lodge and come in the world and start again. It's a cycle. So it's a long answer for a very simple question, why we come in the lodge. But I think my uncle had a very big impact. And of course, in our in the craft, we see that 50% of the Mason are a part of Mason family. So we have this transmission through generation in the same family, especially in Scotland. It's very strong. In Scotland, all the male inside a family are Mason. You have no choice. So I think as a man, we have a special relation. The friendship between men are special, because it's not like a woman. It's not so easy for the men to speak about themselves, between men, to be to have very deep discussion. So women have more facilities. It's more easy for them to have this personal discussion. So the Masonry is a way to have to build this friendship between men. I think it's a great thing. And I said to you, I'm optimist for the future, and I'm sure that we have the possibility to enter the new golden age, because all these value are very important for the future and for our children. I want that. I have a daughter, and I pray every day that the world will be better for her than for me. So this is my hope.
Well, and that's the hope I should hope for every Mason that's out there, that we leave the world and our craft better than we got it. And speaking of brothers the world over, just for those of our international listeners, I'm just going to read from your website here. I know that there are several premieres that are coming up. The 28th premiere in Brussels has already happened. February 10th is in Valencia. February 24th is in Ghent. And then the last week of March, you're in Brazil to premiere the film, which is amazing. And then from there, the spring, it will be available on DVD, DVD as well as in video on demand. And it's a longer version, which is 2 1-hour parts, if I'm not mistaken, twice by 1 hour. And in September, it will be broadcast on television throughout the world, as well as it will be translated into Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and Dutch.
And German.
and German.
German. Yeah.
So that makes it a truly strong international film, and I do know that you do have a previous engagement that you do need to get to, but we are so absolutely privileged to have had you on the radio program and share your story and help you get the word of the film out there. I know that the brethren here in Ottawa, as well as around Canada, are very excited for its release. And
Yes.
I know within our community and the community as a whole, from there it will be a success.
The trailer also on Vimeo right now, I believe. People
Yes.
want to have a little peek.
Okay, thank you so much for these hours. I'm so happy to spend this time with you, and there will be there is now a lot of discussion to have a different premiere in London, in USA, everywhere. So I hope I will come in Ottawa and meet you in and organize a premiere in Canada, and it could be done very quickly. So if there is some listener in the audience who want to organize something, we are very open, because organize a screening in a theater in a very good condition, it's better than show that on your computer screen. So it's a better experience, and also it's opportunity to meet the young generation. So I come again with that. So organize something is open the doors, and it's opportunity to make contact. So of course we have to do our best to promote that and try to organize opportunities.
And as they say, many hands make light work. So
Yes.
I know that with the brethren that I've been discussing and the amount of excitement, I'll talk to a few of them and we'll see what we can do for you, brother.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure again. Thank you very much. And that was Tristan Bourlard. And terramasonica.com. If you also you can see both the trailers up there, and I would very strongly suggest you check it out. And you can also follow them on Facebook. So please do make your searches and make your likes. This has been Chris George Zuger of Den of Lore, and I do just have a quick short announcement for next week's show that I'm going to put on there. Which, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it right now. And this is very exciting. As you may know, the great John Anthony West is currently fighting cancer, and we have the privilege, in combination with Sacred Geometry International, we're going to be presenting next week, February 10th, at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 Central, 5:30 Pacific, live on this channel, the John Anthony West Project Telethon, in support of Clay Roop's John Anthony West Project fundraiser to try and raise funds for John Anthony West's cancer treatment. Now, the guest list for this is truly amazing. We're going to have Graham Hancock, Dr. Robert Schock of Boston University, Laird Scranton, Scotty Roberts, and the renowned Randall Carlson of Sacred Geometry International, all on one show. We're going to be trying to raise $10,000 during that broadcast, and another $40,000 for the following 7 days total. I would very strongly suggest that you do set your reminders now, because this will be absolutely amazing. We're going to be talking about John Anthony West's work. We're going to be discussing the impact on knowledge, in addition to warm stories about John Anthony West from his friends and colleagues. Please do check us out at denoflore.com for all the details, or the show notes in the upcoming events. Again, this is Chris George Zuger, producer and host of Den of Lore, and my co-host Alex. Say hello, Alex.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Tristan, very much for joining us on the show today. And really appreciate having you on, and it's a beautiful work of film that you've made.
Have a good
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Chris. See you soon.
See you soon.
Thanks.
All right. Well, I guess it's Alex. What did you think of that? It was a good show.
Very good. Very good.
Fantastic. I can't wait for this film to come out. It's going to be so amazing. Sure. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen who are still listening, I am going to play the outro music, which we have, and kind of very, very apropos, we're going to have Spellbound by Broke for Free. So don't forget to set your reminders. Again, you can check out denoflore.com for all the information. There will be more guests that will be confirming as time goes on. In addition to our 5 guests, we will also be bringing in, again, Soraya from Where Did the Road Go, who will be guest hosting along with Dr. Robert Schock for most, if not the entire show, depending on schedules. So, and also special thanks goes out to Cameron from Sacred Geometry International, Greg from the Higher Side Chats, and Darren and Graham from Grimerica for all of your help and support, as well as Adam Loyal from Friends to Know. You guys are amazing. The warmth and support from this community for this wonderful man who has given a large part of his life to the search for knowledge and critical thinking towards where we came from as a species is absolutely warm and inspiring. I'm privileged to be a part of this effort for John, and let's make this a very successful one, and make sure that he knows that we stand behind him, and that he's got all the love in the world from this large and wonderful community. Once again, thank you very much for listening to the Den of Lore, and we will see you next week.